Imagine walking through the foggy streets of San Francisco, knowing a shadow lurks in the darkness. An enigma? A ghost? A killer who sends taunting letters to the police? What if I told you that even today, the identity of this cold-blooded murderer remains a mystery? This is the story of the Zodiac Killer, a chilling legend that terrorized an entire generation. And as we peel back the layers, you might find yourself asking, could the Zodiac still be out there? The late 1960s was a time of cultural revolution in America. Peace signs, protests, and flower power dominated the landscape. But in Northern California, an ominous shadow loomed. A string of brutal murders shattered the tranquility, and with them came the letters. Letters filled with cryptic codes, threats, and a haunting signature, a crosshair symbol. The Zodiac Killer didn't just kill his victims. He made a spectacle of his crimes. He craved the spotlight, sending letters to newspapers, mocking the police, and claiming he had killed more than he'd been credited for. Who was this monster? Why did he do it? And how has he managed to elude capture for over half a century? The first kill, a deadly beginning, it all started on December 20th, 1968. High school sweethearts Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were parked on a quiet lover's lane in Vallejo, California. What should have been a romantic evening turned into a nightmare. They were found brutally shot, their lives cut short in a cold, calculated attack. 6 months later, the Zodiac struck again. Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau were sitting in a parked car when a gunman approached. He opened fire, leaving Darlene dead and Mike seriously injured. But Mike survived and became the only eyewitness to see the Zodiac, a detail that would haunt investigators. Then came the letters. On July 31st, 1969, 3 newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald, received identical letters from someone claiming to be the killer. Each letter contained 1/3 of a cryptogram, a puzzle that the Zodiac promised would reveal his identity if solved. "This is the Zodiac speaking," he wrote, a phrase that would send shivers down the spine of readers. His arrogance was chilling. He detailed his murders and taunted the police for their inability to catch him. The cryptogram was eventually solved by a schoolteacher and his wife, revealing a disturbing message. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." But there was no name, no identity, just more questions. The Zodiac's attacks were methodical. His next victim, 22-year-old Brian Hartnell, and his girlfriend, 20-year-old Cecilia Shepard, were enjoying a picnic at Lake Berryessa when they were ambushed. The Zodiac wore an executioner's hood and brandished a knife. He tied them up and stabbed them repeatedly. Brian survived. Cecilia did not. The killer's chilling sense of control was evident in every attack. He left no fingerprints, no DNA, no tangible clues. The only traces were his letters and the fear he instilled in the public. Paul Stein, a cab driver in San Francisco, became the Zodiac's final confirmed victim. On October 11, 1969, Stein was shot in the head at point-blank range. But this time, the Zodiac made a mistake. Witnesses saw him leaving the scene and described him as a white male, approximately 35 to 45 years old, with a stocky build and glasses. Despite this, the police failed to apprehend him. Adding to the horror, the Zodiac sent a piece of Stein's bloodied shirt to the police, taunting them yet again. He claimed he would target schoolchildren next, sending waves of panic across the city. Over the years, the Zodiac sent at least 18 letters, many of which included cryptograms. Of the 4 ciphers he sent, only one has been definitively solved. The others remain unbroken to this day, leaving armchair detectives and cryptographers puzzled. What secrets do these codes hold? Are they the key to unmasking the killer? Or are they just another layer of the Zodiac's twisted game? Over the decades, numerous suspects have been named. Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester, was the most famous. Evidence seemed to point to him. A Zodiac watch, misspelled words that matched the letters, and even alleged confessions to friends. But DNA tests failed to link him definitively to the crimes. Other suspects include Richard Gaikowski, Ross Sullivan, and even Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Each theory brings its own intrigue, but none have provided conclusive proof. So why does the Zodiac Killer continue to captivate us? Perhaps it's the audacity of his crimes, the taunting letters, or the unsolved mysteries he left behind. Or maybe it's the fear that he represents, the idea that evil can be so cunning, so calculated, and so uncatchable. Even now, advancements in DNA technology and online sleuthing reignite hope that the Zodiac's identity might one day be revealed. But until then, he remains a ghost in the annals of true crime history, a legend that refuses to fade. As we unravel the Zodiac's twisted tale, one question lingers. Was he a genius criminal mastermind or simply a lucky predator? And most chilling of all, could he still be walking among us today, blending into the crowd? A dark secret hidden behind a familiar face? What do you think? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to join us. A family secret revealed. What if the answer to one of America's most notorious mysteries has been hiding in plain sight all along? A family secret, buried for decades, may hold the key to unmasking the Zodiac Killer. And tonight, we delve into the chilling revelations that could finally crack the case wide open. For decades, investigators, journalists, and amateur sleuths have chased countless leads in the Zodiac case. But recent breakthroughs have reignited hope. A forgotten set of letters, unearthed in a dusty attic, has sent shockwaves through the true crime community. These letters, believed to have been written by a close family member of the suspect, contain eerie similarities to the Zodiac's infamous correspondence. What did these letters reveal? And why were they hidden for so long? To understand the significance, we must first revisit the Zodiac's original communication style. The Zodiac's letters were unique, riddled with misspellings, cryptic codes, and a distinct tone of arrogance. Linguistic experts have long studied these traits, hoping to identify the killer. When the newly discovered letters were compared to the Zodiac's, startling parallels emerged. The handwriting, tone, and phrasing bore uncanny resemblances. Could this be a family member writing in the same vein? Or was the Zodiac deliberately mimicking someone close to him? The letters weren't the only clue. An old photograph, found alongside the documents, depicts a man who bears a striking resemblance to police sketches of the Zodiac. This man, identified as Joe Foy's grandfather, lived in the Bay Area during the time of the murders. His movements, acquaintances, and even his hobbies align suspiciously well with known details about the Zodiac's life. What makes this revelation even more chilling is the possibility of a familial cover-up. Could the Zodiac's relatives have known about his crimes? And if so, why did they choose to stay silent? Profilers have long speculated about the Zodiac's psyche. He was likely a narcissist, obsessed with control and notoriety. But what if his actions were influenced by a troubled family dynamic? New evidence suggests that his upbringing may have played a crucial role in shaping his dark tendencies. Interviews with extended family members reveal a pattern of violence, secrecy, and manipulation within the household. Could these traits have been passed down, culminating in the Zodiac's reign of terror? And more importantly, what drove him to target innocent strangers? Advancements in forensic technology have given new life to the Zodiac investigation. DNA recovered from the letters is being reanalyzed using cutting-edge techniques. Meanwhile, genealogical databases have helped link previously unidentified suspects to their family trees. Could this be the breakthrough we've been waiting for? As investigators comb through the newly discovered materials, every detail counts. A fingerprint, a strand of hair, or even a trace of saliva could finally provide the irrefutable evidence needed to identify the Zodiac. Critics argue that the Joe Foy's grandfather theory is circumstantial at best. Without concrete evidence, it remains just another theory in a sea of speculation. But for those who have followed the case closely, the connections are too compelling to ignore. Why did the Zodiac choose his victims? Could he have been driven by personal vendettas or unresolved grudges within his own family? These questions linger as the investigation unfolds. The pieces of the Zodiac puzzle are finally coming together, but one question remains. If the family secret holds the truth, why has it taken so long to surface? Is this the final chapter in the Zodiac saga, or just another tantalizing twist? The sinister link between law enforcement and the Zodiac Killer. What if the person tasked with protecting you was the same one hunting you? The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror is infamous, but a disturbing question has emerged. Could he have had ties to law enforcement? Tonight, we'll uncover shocking theories and evidence that suggest the killer may have been closer to the badge than anyone ever imagined. For decades, the Zodiac Killer's ability to evade capture baffled investigators. He seemed to anticipate police moves, navigating investigations like an insider. His precision, lack of evidence, and ability to slip through the cracks raised unsettling questions. Was he part of the system? Did he have inside information? Let's start by examining the events that led to these chilling suspicions. On October 11, 1969, Paul Stein, a San Francisco cab driver, was brutally murdered by the Zodiac. Witnesses saw the killer calmly walk away from the scene. But what happened next was bizarre. Officers reportedly stopped a man matching the Zodiac's description and let him go. This mistake was later attributed to a miscommunication about the suspect's race. But skeptics argue there's more to the story. Did the Zodiac use law enforcement protocols against them? Or could he have blended in because he was one of their own? The Zodiac's cryptic messages were more than taunts. They were expertly crafted puzzles. Military and law enforcement circles at the time were trained in code-breaking and cryptography. Could the Zodiac have had a background in these fields? Perhaps as an officer or someone with access to such training. One of the most compelling clues comes from the deciphered Zodiac cipher, which revealed his interest in hunting humans. The sophistication of these messages points to someone with a methodical, detail-oriented mindset, traits often associated with law enforcement or military personnel. In the years following the Zodiac's attacks, several individuals within law enforcement came under scrutiny. One of the most notable was a Vallejo police officer who reportedly resembled early sketches of the killer. Although no definitive evidence tied him to the murders, his connection to the investigation raised eyebrows. Additionally, reports surfaced of officers who seemed unusually familiar with Zodiac details or displayed unsettling behavior when discussing the case. Were these coincidences or signs of something more sinister? One of the Zodiac's lesser-known letters mentioned a blue meanie, slang for police officers at the time. Some theorists believe this was a deliberate hint, suggesting that the Zodiac was taunting his own colleagues. Could this have been his way of asserting dominance over the system he operated within? Corruption within law enforcement is not unheard of, and the Zodiac case is no exception. Some believe that officers who were close to the investigation may have deliberately withheld evidence or misdirected efforts to protect their own. Could this be why the Zodiac seemed untouchable? Adding fuel to the fire, reports emerged of missing case files, lost evidence, and conflicting accounts from investigators. Were these genuine mistakes or signs of a deeper cover-up? FBI profilers have speculated that the Zodiac's understanding of police procedures gave him a critical edge. He avoided leaving fingerprints, selected remote locations for his attacks, and sent letters designed to maximize media attention while minimizing traceability. These tactics suggest someone familiar with criminal investigations. If the Zodiac had ties to law enforcement, it would explain his confidence and his ability to manipulate the system. But it also raises a terrifying question. How many others like him might have gone unnoticed? The idea of the Zodiac Killer hiding behind a badge is as chilling as it is plausible. Was he truly one of the protectors who betrayed the public's trust? Or was he simply a master manipulator, using the system against itself? As we continue to explore this dark chapter, one thing becomes clear. The Zodiac's shadow stretches further than anyone ever imagined. Cracking the code. The Zodiac ciphers and their chilling legacy. A killer who communicated in cryptic puzzles, challenging the world to unravel his dark secrets. What if solving his ciphers could unlock the identity of one of the most infamous serial killers in history? Tonight, we dive deep into the Zodiac ciphers, their sinister messages, and the chilling legacy they left behind. It all began on August 1, 1969, when the Zodiac Killer sent letters to 3 newspapers, the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. Each letter contained 1/3 of a 408-character cipher, accompanied by a threat: publish the ciphers or more people would die. The Zodiac's demand wasn't just a plea for attention. It was an assertion of control. But what did these symbols mean? And why did the killer risk exposure by sharing them? Within a week, a California schoolteacher and his wife cracked the code. The deciphered text revealed a chilling confession. "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all." But while the message was deciphered, it provided no clues to the Zodiac's identity. Instead, it painted a picture of a sadistic mind, obsessed with power and death. The Zodiac's subsequent ciphers were more complex and far more elusive. The infamous 340-character cipher, sent in November 1969, remained unsolved for over 50 years. When it was finally cracked in 2020 by a team of cryptologists, the decoded message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." This revelation reignited public fascination, but again, the cipher revealed no identity, only the killer's twisted sense of humor and self-perceived invincibility. For decades, professional cryptologists, amateur codebreakers, and curious minds worldwide have attempted to solve the Zodiac's remaining ciphers. The unsolved puzzles, like the Z13 and Z32 ciphers, are particularly tantalizing. Some believe they hold the key to the killer's real name, but the challenges are immense. The Zodiac ciphers are riddled with intentional errors, red herrings, and inconsistencies. Were these mistakes a sign of his limitations, or were they deliberate attempts to mislead? The sophistication of the Zodiac ciphers has led many to speculate about his background. Could he have been a military cryptographer, a mathematician, or someone with specialized training in intelligence? His ability to create intricate puzzles suggests a high level of education and a methodical approach to his crimes. Some theorists even suggest that the Zodiac might have been inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, whose works often included cryptic messages and themes of macabre fascination. The Zodiac's cryptic letters have inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows, cementing his place as one of the most enigmatic figures in true crime history. The ciphers themselves have become a symbol of his legacy, representing both his intellect and his cruelty. Even today, the Zodiac ciphers spark debates, discussions, and fresh attempts at decryption. They serve as a haunting reminder of his ability to manipulate fear and intrigue. What secrets remain hidden in the Zodiac ciphers? Could they contain his real name, as some believe? Or are they simply taunts, designed to frustrate and confuse? The possibility of further revelations keeps this decades-old mystery alive. The Zodiac ciphers are more than puzzles. They are a window into the mind of a killer who thrived on chaos and control. But as we continue to decipher his messages, one question remains. Will the final key unlock his identity, or will the Zodiac take his secrets to the grave? A dark family mystery, Joe Foy's grandfather and the Zodiac theory. A cold case spanning decades, an infamous serial killer, and a family secret hidden in plain sight. Could the key to the Zodiac killer's identity lie within the history of one man's family? Tonight, we unravel the chilling mystery of Joe Foy's grandfather and his connection to the Zodiac theory. The Zodiac killer's reign of terror left a trail of unanswered questions. Despite decades of investigation, his true identity remains unknown. But recently, a startling theory has emerged, pointing to a family man with a dark past, Joe Foy's grandfather. How did this unassuming figure become entangled in one of America's most infamous mysteries? Let's start from the beginning. Joe Foy, an ordinary man with no prior connection to the Zodiac case, came forward with a shocking claim. He alleged that his grandfather, a man he once admired, could be the elusive Zodiac killer. According to Foy, certain behaviors, stories, and even physical evidence pointed directly to his grandfather. But why would a family member make such an accusation? Foy's testimony is rooted in years of suppressed suspicions, strange coincidences, and unsettling discoveries. Foy's grandfather, whose identity remains confidential, lived in Northern California during the Zodiac's active years. He had a history of cryptic hobbies, including an interest in ciphers and codes, eerily similar to the Zodiac's infamous letters. He was also known for his meticulous nature and a fascination with hunting. Neighbors described him as reserved but intelligent, with an unsettling aura. While these traits alone don't confirm guilt, they align disturbingly well with the Zodiac's psychological profile. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence came from Foy's inheritance. Among his grandfather's belongings was a collection of notebooks filled with coded messages, symbols, and drawings. Experts who analyzed these materials noted striking similarities to the Zodiac ciphers. Even more unsettling, Foy discovered a map of the Bay Area with markings that coincided with some of the Zodiac's known crime scenes. Was this just a bizarre coincidence? Or something more sinister? Foy's claims were met with mixed reactions within his family. Some members dismissed his theory, accusing him of tarnishing their grandfather's legacy. Others admitted they had long harbored doubts but were too afraid to speak out. The family's reluctance to address these allegations raises an important question. Was their silence driven by denial? Or were they protecting a secret they'd rather the world never uncovered? When Foy's theory gained traction, some retired investigators revisited the Zodiac case with fresh eyes. They analyzed the circumstantial evidence, comparing it to existing case files. While no definitive link has been established, the possibility remains intriguing. Foy's grandfather was never formally investigated during the original Zodiac case, which leaves a significant gap in the timeline. Could this oversight have allowed the killer to remain hidden? Joe Foy's decision to go public wasn't easy. He has faced backlash, ridicule, and even threats for suggesting such a controversial theory. Yet, his determination to uncover the truth speaks to the broader human impact of the Zodiac case. For Foy, this journey is not just about solving a mystery. It's about confronting a past that refuses to stay buried. The story of Joe Foy's grandfather is a haunting reminder that the past has a way of catching up to the present. Could this family man truly be the Zodiac Killer? Or is this another twist in an already twisted tale? As we dig deeper into the evidence, one thing is clear. The Zodiac's shadow looms larger than ever. The final question: could the Zodiac Killer have been hiding in plain sight? What if the man who terrorized Northern California for years wasn't hiding at all? What if the Zodiac Killer walked among us, his face unrecognizable but always in plain view? Tonight, we tackle the chilling possibility that the Zodiac's greatest trick wasn't vanishing, but blending in. For over 5 decades, the Zodiac Killer has remained a phantom. From taunting letters to uncrackable ciphers, he became the ultimate enigma. Despite countless theories and suspects, no one has been definitively identified. Could it be that the Zodiac's secret wasn't about concealment, but about assimilation? Criminal profilers often say that the most effective way to avoid capture is to become invisible, not by hiding, but by blending in. The Zodiac's methodical nature suggests he was calculated, even in how he presented himself to the world. Think about it. His crimes were public and theatrical, yet he was never seen fleeing the scene. Witness descriptions varied widely, from his height and weight to his demeanor. Was this intentional misdirection, or the result of a master manipulator altering his appearance? Many serial killers have led double lives, portraying themselves as normal citizens. Some were fathers, husbands, or even community leaders. The Zodiac could have been someone's neighbor, coworker, or friend. Someone who attended barbecues by day and plotted murders by night. One chilling theory posits that the Zodiac maintained a regular job, perhaps even one that allowed him to travel throughout California. This would explain the spread of his crimes and his ability to evade suspicion. Over the years, several suspects have come under scrutiny. Arthur Lee Allen, one of the most infamous, was a schoolteacher who appeared unremarkable to those who knew him. Others, like Lawrence Kane, had criminal backgrounds but lived seemingly ordinary lives. Could the Zodiac have been someone like them? A man who hid in plain sight by blending into society's fabric? If so, how did he manage to evade capture for so long? The Zodiac didn't just kill, he communicated. His letters were designed to draw attention, but they also served a dual purpose: to taunt the police while showcasing his intellect. He wanted to be seen, but only on his terms. Some experts believe the Zodiac's letters contain subtle hints about his identity. Could the cryptic nature of his messages have been a way to control how the public perceived him? And more importantly, did anyone in his life recognize these behaviors but stay silent? Advances in forensic technology have brought us closer than ever to identifying the Zodiac. DNA evidence recovered from his letters has been compared to numerous suspects. Yet, no definitive match has been found. One possibility is that the Zodiac was meticulous about avoiding traces of himself on his correspondence. Alternatively, his DNA could have degraded over time. But what if he left clues in another form? Could handwriting analysis, geographic profiling, or voice recognition technology finally unmask him? Perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the Zodiac case is the realization that he might have been an ordinary man. He could have stood in line at the grocery store, waved at a neighbor, or chatted with a stranger at a coffee shop. The idea that someone capable of such heinous acts could lead a seemingly normal life is a chilling reminder of humanity's darker side. The Zodiac Killer's legend persists not just because of what he did, but because of who he could be. Was he a ghost hiding in plain sight, or a man so ordinary that we never thought to look? As we continue to piece together this puzzle, one thing is certain. The truth may be closer than we think. Could the Zodiac have been someone you passed on the street? The answer might be more unsettling than we ever imagined.